Hi everyone! In this video we're going to be taking a look at one of the questions from the textbook that I assigned the other day. So this is from page 13, number 9. I ended up receiving a lot of questions about this particular problem, which makes sense because it all takes place on the coordinate grid, which is a concept that you haven't looked at since grade 7. So let's take a look and review this. So as you can see, I already have drawn my y-axis here. Okay, so the y is the vertical axis and my x. Okay, and then the x, as you can see, is the horizontal axis. Okay, the next thing that's very important to remember is at the very center point where x and y intersect, this is called the origin, and this point is 0. From there, numbering from the origin over to the right on the x-axis, we have positive numbers counting upwards. So I'm going to just label counting up by 2's. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and of course you could label it counting by 1's. I'm just going by 2's to give me a little more space to fill in the numbers. And then when I'm going to plot, I know that my odd numbers are just in the lines in between there. Okay, and then going away from the origin upwards is the other location of positive numbers. So again, just to save space, I'm just going to label going up by 2's, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And then going down my y-axis is the first location of negative numbers. So again, away from the origin, I'm going to be starting at -2 this time. -4, -6, -8, -10, -12, -14, -16. And then the last place I have to label is the left-hand side of my origin along my x-axis. And again, this is the second spot of negative numbers. So -2, -4, -6, -8, -10, -12, -14. Okay, so the first thing that question 9 asks us to do is to copy the figure onto the coordinate grid. So, just going to turn up my brightness. Let's see, how does that show up? Not bad, a little bit of reflection there, but okay. All right. So in order to copy this onto my grid, I can see that they've given me 1, 2, 3 labeled points, A, C, E. So I just have to read them off of the grid that they've given me. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've only labeled up to the 5th line there, but each one is still worth just 1. So to plot point C, let's count where it is. So we always read across first. So 1, 2 across, and then we read up. 1, 2 up. So 2, 2 is the placement of C. So I go 1, 2 across, 1, 2 up. There's my first placement. So always across and then up and down. Okay, so let's take a look at E now. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, 1, 2, 3 up. So 5, 3. So across first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, and 1, 2, 3 up. There's my point E. The last point they give me is A, so that's 1, 2, 3 across and 5, 6 up. So I count 3 across and 6 up. So there is my A point. So I've plotted all 3 points, and now I can connect my dots. If you're getting confused on how to connect them to make this L shape, the other thing that you can do is you can always fill in more dots. They haven't given us more labels for the dots, but you can still fill in so that you have more points to connect. So we've got an edge right beside A, we've got an edge right underneath E, and we've got an edge right diagonal across from C. So now I just have more points to connect, which will make my job of recreating this L a little bit easier. So you can see I've just pulled out my ruler now, and I am nice and neatly connecting all my dots. There we go. So the first part is done. So now A says to draw the reflection image if the y-axis, so remember the y is this vertical one, is the line of reflection. So if that's the line of reflection, that means I'm flipping my image over the y-axis. So I'm going to have the mirror image over top of there, over here. And it says label the reflected vertices A prime, C prime, E prime. That's what this little apostrophe here means. It's just prime. So each time we transform a shape on the coordinate grid, we add a second, another prime. So the first transformation is just prime. Second transformation becomes double prime. Third transformation becomes triple prime, and so on. Okay, so let's draw this reflection over the y-axis. So the way that we do this is, remember, we're flipping it over here. So we just have to count how far away from the y-axis each of these 3 points is. So C is 1, 2 spaces away. So on the other side we count 1, 2 spaces. There's our point, and we label it C prime. A is 1, 2, 3 spaces away, so we count 1, 2, 3, and we label it A prime. E is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces away, so we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces away, and we label it E prime. Okay, and because it's the flip image, in this one we have an L, we're going to have a backwards L in this one. And again, if you're having trouble visualizing how to connect this, you can you can draw out more of the dots that they didn't label. So like this one next to A, 1, 2 spaces away from the line, 1, 2, there it is. This one underneath the E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there it is. And then diagonal from the C. So now I actually have more points to connect. So don't feel like you're limited to just what they've given you. You can always add more if it's going to help. If you're having a hard time visualizing how to connect it to make the shape or the image. Okay, so you can see I got my ruler, making it nice and straight, connecting it all up. And there is my prime image. So next thing it asks me to do, B says, what are the coordinates of A prime, C prime, and E prime in your drawing? Okay, so I'm just going to label those right on my prime drawing here. So again, you just have to remember to always read across and then up or down. So for A prime, I go across. So it's at -3. So that's my x coordinate, -3. And then I read up, it's at 6. So my first set of coordinates is -3, 6. So remember, always across, then up and down. X coordinate, then y coordinate. Okay, so on to C prime. Across, it's at -2. So that's my first coordinate. And up, it's at 2. So -2, 2 are my coordinates for C prime. E prime, across, -5. And then up, it's at +3. So -5, 3 is my last set of coordinates. And you'll notice if you compare it to the coordinates of the original, I've got 2, 2, same, except the x is a negative over here. E, I've got 5, 3, again, same, except that I've got a negative over here. And A, I've got 3, 6. Same, except I've got a negative over here. So you can see how a flip in the y-axis just changes your x coordinate to a negative. So now the next thing it says is it asks us, do the original figure and its reflection image show line symmetry? Well, yeah, of course it does, because the image that we've created is literally using a reflection. So right here, line symmetry is all about separating, if you're able to separate something into identical halves, where one is the mirror image of the other. So absolutely, as soon as you've done a reflection, you've created line symmetry. That's why another name for a line of symmetry is a line of reflection, or sometimes you'll even hear it called an axis of symmetry. So absolutely, if you've done a reflection on a coordinate grid, for sure you have line symmetry. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you that wasn't actually part of this question is a translation, because that's something that you will encounter very soon. So let's just say that there was a D, part D to this question, that said, translate A prime, C prime, E prime, 3 spaces left and 10 spaces down. Okay, so just imagine that was part of the question. So a translation, just as a reminder, is just a slide across the grid. So what we do is, first of all, make sure you're looking at the right image, because we've got 2 images here now. But it specifically asks us to look for A prime, C prime, E prime. So that means this green one here. Okay, the second one that we transformed. So to translate it, we just go to each point and we slide it. So it says 3 spaces left, so we go 1, 2, 3, and then 10 spaces down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's our E, and then this becomes double prime. Okay, because this is the second transformation of our original shape. Okay, next point, we do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down. So this becomes our C double prime. And then the last one, A prime, 1, 2, 3 to the left, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down. So this becomes our A double prime. So now from there, I can connect my dots, and just remember that this time we didn't flip anything. we literally just took this backwards L, slid it 3 spaces left, and slid it 10 spaces down. So that means it's going to have the exact same orientation as this backwards L, but just over here, down in quadrant 3. So I can just connect this, drawing out the same backwards L. And of course, if you were having a hard time figuring out how to connect it, you could do a translation for every one of these points that you added to the grid, so that you would have more dots to connect, making it a little bit easier. So there it is, the identical backwards L, except moved 3 spaces left and 10 spaces down. So then the other thing that you may see is a question asking you, is the double prime image a reflection of the image in quadrant 2? And obviously the answer there would be no. If it was a reflection, we would have this backwards L flipped upside down. It'd have to be the mirror image of it. Whereas this is not. This has just been slid. Same thing if it asks us if it was a reflection of the original. That's a no, because I mean, there's nowhere that I can put a line of reflection. Even if I put it here, my L is still going to end up getting flipped over. So it can't be a reflection of this first one either. So really, it's just a translation of the green one. So it's not a reflection of anything else. There's nowhere that we can draw a line of symmetry to separate this image as one into identical halves with my double prime shape. So anyways, that's a little bit of review on the coordinate grid. We will be talking about it more this unit, but that sums it up for now. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.